what I don't think I really thought through, honestly, when I came here was how much being in a liberal arts college, being in this setting, would make me want to and require me to push my students to think about neuroscience, neuropsychology from the perspective of literature and religious studies and women's studies and that hadn't even occurred to me, but doing it for this long, I really realized like, oh, this just also happens to be the ideal place to do my research.
In our town, there was actually tar deposits on the surface, and you could actually see it and play with it. And the barnacle fields of tar were not that far away, and these were large, kilometer-long fields. And as kids, we would run out there and see who would sink the fastest or run back the fastest. And there were also natural gas, and we would light a match and throw it, and you see the gas fly up. So we actually did live with oil around us. It was a small town in the eastern rainforest of Venezuela that proved to be central to an export economy and to a war and to an international economy because it had oil.
And so if you look at kind of the numbers and you look at immigrants as a percentage of the population, we've pretty much hit kind of that same peak point that we hit around the turn of the last century, right before World War I. And immigration then was hugely contentious, right? I mean, the debates are almost exactly the same. Mm-hmm. The things that people say are almost exactly the same. The groups are different, right, but what they say is the same.
I would say I probably love writing even more than I love reading. Mm-hmm. And so reading for me is it's part of this sort of ecosystem of writing. Mm-hmm. And I'm always writing little notes in my head or in my book or putting markers down for later.
And, I guess Japanese literature was just part of my upbringing. Mm-hmm. Rather than saying, I would do literature per se. I spent a lot more time probably watching films when I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. and getting into Japanese literature that way. We'd go with my grandmother. In our town, we had actually with the neighboring town, there were 3 little theaters that showed Japanese films. So you could go to one every night if you wanted to. So my introduction really to Japanese literature was really more through those films rather than the actual text. Mm.